Ben gets the snap. He scrambles around, throws it back corner of the end zone. Santonio with a touchdown! Santonio holds! I don't know how he did it!
What a throw! What a catch! What a game!
Wilson, quick throw, and it's good. Intercepted! Intercepted by Malcolm Butler! Butler has it at the one! Malcolm Butler stepped in front of the throw! And the Patriots have possession!
Tatum drives down and throws it down! Wow! Brown to Smart, Smart to Tatum. Sets, fires, three-pointer, bang! Jason Tatum has electrified the crowd.
Good evening, or whatever time it is for you, and welcome back to the 11th episode of the JM Touchdown Show. My name is Joe of Fanatics Sports, and joining me today is Mike Kennedy of Mike Kennedy NFL. Now, Michael, what do we have today?
Well, Joe, this past week, for the first time this offseason, a player who's the greatest at his position, who played with the Patriots and Buccaneers, announced his retirement. The only time that's happened this offseason, and it's Rob Gronkowski. I know you have a personal connection considering your Patriots fandom, so what was the first thing that came to your mind when this came on the wire?
I'm happy for him. I'm very happy for the man. He's been beat down his whole career with his physical style, being probably the best run-blocking tight end of all time, as well as the most dominant tight end of all time, in my opinion. Yes, better than Tony. I don't care what anyone says. Tony might have more stats, but obviously he played longer and more games. But when Gronk was on the field, which, yes, was kind of an issue at times, nobody could stop Rob Gronkowski. I think of, like, the memorable moments like that one-handed catch, I believe, versus the Broncos to get him in the goal line. The deep throw in the AFC Championship against the Broncos to again get them the goal line, and then the touchdown where everyone thought he stepped out and it was illegal touching, but I don't know what he did, just some athletic freak of nature stuff, and he caught the touchdown, and then obviously, the 2-point conversion didn't go, and we end up losing the game. And then in the Super Bowl against the Rams, the deep, amazing catch to get him to the one for the Sony Michel touchdown. I always will think of those plays from Rob. I also randomly think of random plays, like a random touchdown against the Bills. I believe that was like the Kelvin Benjamin game, if you know what I'm talking about, like the one with that catch or
right.
Not catch, whatever it was. Whatever you think it was. I have no comment on that. That was a weird play, but I don't know. I've always obviously loved Gronk. I did not blame him when he went to Tampa Bay. Honestly, was I mad at the counterpart that went to Tampa Bay? Yes and no, because, we did not help the other person, obviously being Mr. Tom Brady.
Shaq Mason?
Oh, yeah. That one annoyed me, but whatever. That was we got like a fifth for him. He's like a top 10 guard. Like, what? Like, we could have gotten a third, at least. Knowing us, we would have drafted, we would have drafted a Smurf, but, but anyways, back to Gronk. Yeah, I loved watching him this whole time. I can't remember a game where he didn't have one play that I was just like, wow, whether it was run blocking or catching a ball. Him and Shaq are the same person, in my opinion. If you know what I mean. They weren't the best at their position, maybe, but they were the most dominant, and even maybe not the best all time, but the most dominant of all time.
Very similar personalities, too.
Oh, yeah. Gronk is high life. He's gonna be very successful after NFL. No matter what it is. It could be acting. Maybe he's very smart with his money. I don't think he spent a dime of his Patriots paychecks. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure about now, but when he retired the first time, that was the thing that was wow. I also love how for training camp with the Bucks, he put on 5 different shirts in one day just to show the Bucks that he was training out throughout the week. Gronk, we're not stupid, dude. That's just what he did, though.
Yeah, he was always one of the most entertaining players in football. Even, as a Steelers fan who the Patriots just owned for a decade, especially Gronkowski, I couldn't help but appreciate his greatness. You mentioned the Kelvin Benjamin game, whether you thought it was a catch or not. The game that most comes to mind for me for Gronk also involved a play like that, and that was the Jesse James catch-no-catch game. Because down the stretch, Gronkowski on the final drive, he basically won the game all by himself. He had 2 25-yard catches, and then he basically owned Sean Davis on the drive. Like, Sean Davis, that was basically the end of his career.
I remember when he was
so
like one of your like best defensive backs. That was a rough stretch.
It was a very sad time. And then on the game-winning touchdown,
I'm sorry. Imagine if that Steelers team had like 2022's defense. My lord.
I'm sure you can find an old tweet of mine where I said Sean Davis was a future Pro Bowler. It's out there. I know there's one. I wasn't that high on Artie Burns, thankfully, but it was a rough time.
Keep talking. Pulling up Twitter.
But yeah, Gronkowski, he, like you mentioned, he's one of the greatest blocking tight ends in NFL history. He bulldozed, I don't even remember, it might have been Stephon Tuitt out of the way for the game-winning touchdown. And then he mossed Sean Davis once again for the 2-point conversion. It was one of the best individual game-winning drives in NFL history. It shouldn't have been game-winning drive because Jesse James caught the ball, but I digress. But yeah, there's a lot of debate on who the greatest tight end of all time is. It's really a matter of preference, whether you prefer peak or longevity.
Look, I really don't think it's a debate, and that's not even me being biased. Like, yeah, Tony had the stats and the games and the longevity, but dude, nobody
dominated at the position like Gronkowski. Like, it's not even close when you just go by how good they were at their peaks. He was the most complete at the position. He could run deep go routes like a wide receiver. He could go up and get it with the best of them. He was great after the catch. He could break so many tackles. Best run blocker in the NFL. Like, I can't think of a single thing that he was even slightly not great at, let alone below average.
Yeah.
He had no weaknesses besides
also, I couldn't find
injuries.
the tweet. I looked up Sean Davis Pro Bowl. It's not real, I don't think.
I'll find it. I'll find it. But we ran a poll on Twitter asking the question, who's the best tight end in NFL history? I listed 4 guys. I figured only 2 would get votes, which was true. Mike Ditka and Shannon Sharp, I'm sorry, but you got 0%. Same with any others that people might have came up with, like Antonio Gates. But fans agreed with us. We had 19 votes.
If anyone ever said Jason Witten was the best tight end of all time, I would cry. Especially given his broadcasting career, dude. Oh, my.
Jason Witten is not a top 15 tight end in the NFL.
He's the most overrated tight end of all time, in my opinion.
He's like the poor man's version of Tony Gonzalez because all he has is longevity. He had like 1 or 2 actually great seasons, but because he has longevity, because he played with the Cowboys, he's probably going to be
he was solid. He was good.
Yeah, he was good. He's never really quite hit the great, except for 1 or 2 years, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
But on our poll, Rob Gronkowski ran away with it. He had 73% of the votes. I have a couple stats, not much, because as you said, Gronk good, Donald good, like you always say. You don't really have to say it much.
You really don't have to say much about him.
Even with all the time he missed, he still finished 3rd all-time in touchdown receptions by a tight end. 3rd, and it is a fun fact I found. The top 4 guys' last names all start with G. Antonio Gates, Tony Gonzalez, Rob Gronkowski, and Jimmy Graham. Fun fact.
Jimmy Graham, wow.
Yeah, it's wild. But when you go by per game numbers, because Tony Gonzalez played 270 games and Gronk only played 143. Gronk averaged 0.64 touchdowns per game. Gonzalez was 0.41. Everybody else in the top 10 and every Hall of Fame tight end, none of them even hit 0.5, and Gronk was at 0.65. So that just speaks to, it's the same thing with yardage totals. Gonzalez has as many 1,000-yard seasons as Gronk does, despite Gronk playing 6 fewer seasons. And he also had 4 other years where he was on pace for 1,000 yards if he played every game. He has the 3rd highest yards per target mark among all positions over the past 30 years. So he's right up there with like Tyreek Hill and guys like that. Like I said, he was great down the field and he was efficient with his targets too.
I know that, but like 3rd highest all time.
Yeah, and it's just a 500 target minimum, which is not a lot for.
Yeah, like you could get like John Ross has not had 500 targets. That was just like an example, but like,
right.
Yeah.
But
You get it.
yeah, his 2011 year was it was the greatest season ever for a tight end. He had 1327 yards, which was the most until like 4 years ago when we had this tight end breakout. But he had the highest yards per target of. Yeah, we had two Kittle years, Kelsey and Andrews the past 4 years.
Last year.
Yeah. But Gronk's yards per target mark vastly outdid all of those and pretty much everybody else in like the top 100. And his 17 touchdowns are the most by a tight end ever. And Jimmy Graham was the only player ever to have more than 13. I have a lot more stats here. I don't even really want to get into it because, as I said, he's so great. You know, he had 4 Super Bowl rings. The 1 year that he didn't play, people will point to that and say, oh, that doesn't count. But he had the 3rd highest single-season yards per route run among all players since 2006 in his 8 games that year. So even when he wasn't there, he was a huge part of getting to that point. He has the 2nd most playoff touchdowns ever, the 2nd most Super Bowl touchdowns ever to Jerry Rice. And what I really wanted to point out was he was probably the single most important factor to Tom Brady winning these extra Super Bowls in the second half of his career. If you look at Tom Brady's splits with and without Gronkowski, obviously, to be fair, most quarterbacks without their best target are going to be worse off. But Brady with Gronkowski and without, he went from 66% completion percentage to 60%, 8 yards per attempt to 6.8, a 4.5 to 1 touchdown to interception ratio to 3 to 1 ratio, and 104 passer rating to 88 passer rating. So it just speaks to how important he was to those teams. Goes without saying how great he was, but I will ask you now, do you think he's really done? Because we've seen him retire and come back before. Do you think this is it?
If Tom calls him week 10, he's coming back.
Do you think there's any shot he ever plays for another team besides a Tom Brady quarterback team?
No. I think at this point, even though, like, remember when he said, like, I would love to play with Joe Burrow? Like, I think that was real. But, like, I think he realized, like, it's either Brady or I'm out.
I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, because, like, again, like I think he's mentally done, but physically he'll always be ready. So if Brady calls him week 10, say the Bucks are like, what will they, like, depending on, I don't know when their bye week is, say they're like 7-2, 6-3. Let's say they've played 9 games by then. He's coming back, in my opinion, because who do they have right now at tight end? Cameron Brate? Do they still have
Cameron Brate, yeah. And then they drafted 2 guys in the middle rounds this year.
Because they lost OJ.
But they lost
to the
OJ.
Bills.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to say he's done unless something like that happens. So I would say it's like a 70% chance he's done, 30% chance he comes back.
I'm going to say he comes back just to be different from you. Also, Why
do you think he comes back, and when do you think he'll come back?
One, because he's still really good. He was 6th in PFF grading and 4th in yards per route run
he had
last
like
year.
800 yards.
He had like 7 touchdowns too. Like, if he had played at all 16/17 games, he would have gone for 1,000 last year as well.
Imagine that. Your last season playing as a tight end, you still go for 1,000. Like, I've never seen that. I mean, only nowadays, which is something I kind of want to get into, only nowadays you see tight ends consistently getting 1,000, like 3 to 5 of them per year. Then you have like a couple like 800 to 900, like the Hawkinsons of the world. Mm-hmm. I really can't. Like maybe Noah Fant is in that like the 700 to 900 area, depending on
right.
health.
It depends on how you define Kyle Pitts.
Yeah. Oh shoot. Yeah. I didn't even get it back. That's him. By the way, I'm not saying Noah Fant is like a great tight end. He just like would randomly get yards because he had a couple big plays, honestly.
And he has, the athleticism and whatnot. You could see if he puts it all together.
Yeah. He's still young, I think. Like, probably like 26.
Yeah, he was just drafted in, 2018, 2019?
Something like that.
But, yeah, the Buccaneers, they still have Cameron Brate, and they drafted a couple guys. So they're obviously somewhat preparing for a future after Gronk. Even if he does come back, they still have assets to move forward. And as for Tom Brady... Like, I can't feel bad for a guy who has Brate, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Russell Gage, Leonard Fournette, Rashad Perriman, Scotty Miller, Tyler
Scotty
Johnson.
Miller, dude.
One of the best offensive lines in football, a top 5 defense in football. Like,
You can't feel
Gronk,
bad
no matter
for a
how great he
defensive coach.
was, they're loaded regardless.
Yeah. I mean, one thing I do want to bring up, though, is isn't it, like, so crazy how the development of the tight end has been in NFL history? Like, at first, like, they didn't do anything. And, you know, they got there a little bit. You know, like, a little bit like the Ditkas. And then there was, nowadays, or, like, let's say the 2010s, you have Gronk and Kelsey and Graham. Now, 2020s, like I said, like, there's, like, 3 to 5 tight ends over 1,000 with, like, a bunch of catches and, you know, only one.
Dallas
and,
Goedert,
like,
too,
some
we
of them,
didn't mention.
some of them, oh, yeah. Some of them don't even have touchdowns in America yet, but, like, so I love Kyle Pitts. It's just so funny that his only touchdown of the year came in London. Like, you can't lie. It's like a, all right. Did you get the co-host guy no thing yet?
No, I did not. Tom, get on that. I know you're listening.
But yeah, I just think it's so crazy that, like, Mark Andrews, Kelsey, Kittle, who else is there? Waller, Pitts, maybe Hawkinson, because, I mean, he was hurt last year. I think he would have almost gotten 1,000, maybe even hit it. Who else is there? Goddard could. No, too many weapons. But
Ertz?
Ertz could get 800 this year, debatably. I mean, obviously box score numbers isn't everything, but, like, you know, that's still, look, 800 yards for a 33, 4, 5-year-old tight end, still great. But
Like
another thing I want to say
Pat
is you gave
Freiermuth,
me
if he had a good quarterback.
Oh, true. Yeah. You gave me a video idea. Do injured player rings count? Carson Wentz, Rob Gronkowski 1 year.
There you go.
I really want to argue about it right now, but I'm not going to because I'm making that video. Maybe not the next one because I have one in mind. I ran a poll for my video idea. I haven't even. Let me look at the results.
Let's see.
I don't get it. I'm very bad at Twitter because I tweet the most. I don't tweet about sports half the
Clicked
time.
the wrong one. Wrong drum.
Yeah, all right. We got 2 votes. It's 1 vote for blank will win blank division. I know the team in division. I'm just not going to spoil it. The second one is random story I find because you know I like to do my stories.
Wow, very descriptive video ideas.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I suck at Twitter. I always will. That's why you run our Twitter. I tweet occasionally.
You'll know who's who without us even labeling it.
Yeah. I mean, I comment on, like, the YouTube the most. Like, I reply to the most people, I'd say. But, like, Twitter, I have always sucked at Twitter, and I will never get better. Because I follow, like, on my YouTube account, not my personal account, I follow people like Korn. You know who Korn is? You ever heard of him?
Yeah,
I follow
got
people
blocked.
like that, and I like those tweets, and I like stupid tweets. And I bet people are like, dude, this is your sports page. What are you doing? Do you see my likes sometimes, and you're like, Joe, what are you doing?
Yeah, I've seen it like pop up
Dude,
sometimes.
can't lie.
It's
They're
like
funny.
Fanatics
They're
Sports
funny.
liked. I'm like,
They're funny.
I'm like, when some of my friends will follow both of us to support the podcast, I'm like, what do they think? How did these two come together when they
like,
run
I like this tweet, dude. It's just a picture of a fat little kid. He said, do y'all see how casual the walk is? I don't know. Little man's got the weight of the world on his mind, or he's processing how good that pastry is. Like, come on. Stuff like that's funny. These are not automatic flushers. They're cameras stealing your dick information. I'm still a child at heart. I haven't graduated college. I can do whatever I want. I'm not in the real world yet. Anyways. Yeah, Gronk good.
Gronk good. There's our podcast. Have a good day, everybody.
Anyways. Steelers did something.
Steelers, surprisingly, this offseason, they've been making a lot of moves, filling up holes, which they usually don't do in free agency or trades or the draft even.
Hey, wait, you said filling up holes? That's what this guy does. Get it? Because it's a defensive tag. Okay. Floor is yours. We really need to get the co-host guy. No. That's so much better than the boo.
Did I hurt your feelings?
No. No, I'm saying the co-host guy would be, like, more entertaining.
Tom! Get on that. Anyways.
Yeah, Tom.
You need to
main
follow
host
him
guy
back,
of
Fanatics.
podcast. What'd you say?
I said you need to follow him back, Fanatics.
I'll do that right now. Keep
Anyways,
talking, though.
while you're doing that, the Steelers signed Larry Ogunjobi to a one-year deal worth up to $8 million with incentives. Earlier this offseason, Ogunjobi actually signed a 3-year, $40 million deal with the Bears, but it was voided because of Ogunjobi's foot injury from last season. This continues Ogunjobi's career in the AFC North because he was drafted by the Browns in the 3rd round in 2017, and he spent last year with the Bengals, and now he's going to the Steelers, so of course in a couple years he'll be with Baltimore. PFF grades don't really love Ogunjobi. That's one thing you'll hear a lot, but he's racked up some good volume stats. He had back-to-back 5.5 sack seasons with the Browns in 2018 and 19. Yeah, like you said, it's a lot more impressive coming from the interior. And last year, he was a huge force for the Bengals' defensive turnaround when they went to the Super Bowl. He had 7 sacks. With the Steelers, we talked about a couple weeks ago how Stephon Tuitt retired, and that left a giant hole, even though he didn't play last year.
I'm going to put up some stats. I want you to be quiet for a sec, all right? I just looked them up.
You got stats?
I got some stats. It's actually one of my favorite websites. It's actually Football Outsiders. I don't know if you like that website. I like it.
Never heard of it.
No, that's a lie, right?
I'm the one who told you about it and where to get the stats.
Oh, is that true? Because that's like DVOA.
Yep.
I forgot, yeah. So I really like the stop rate stat. Ogunjobi, advanced stats versus the run. He had a stop rate of 75% last season, which is actually really not that good. I kind of see why PFF might not like it. It was 30th. However, in 2019, he was 5th with a stop rate of 88%. 2020, 57th ranked, 63%. Versus the pass, he really has not been that great. This last season, he had a stop rate of 85%, and that was ranked 61st. 80% this season before that. That was 28th. I need that explained to me. How his stop rate went up, and it was 23 spots lower. 33 spots lower. And then the year before that, 2019, it was 90% for 30th ranked. What?
I was going to say, everybody, just take a moment. This is a first in the JMTD show history.
What I'm going to do with those stats is kind of agree with PFF. Larry Ogunjobi is not a bad player. He will be an impact player, but he's not really. I don't know if I would put him in top 10 to 15 defensive tackles. Maybe, yeah. I don't know if I would put him top 20. I mean, could I name 20 defensive tackles off the top of my head? No,
probably not.
I don't think anyone really can. Because what? Like Aaron Donald, DeForest Buckner. Eric Armstead. No, he's a defensive end, right?
And you're done.
Yeah, Eric Armstead's not top 3 though. That was just a name. I was just letting that be known. Okay. Oh, Cameron Hayward. Oh, stupid. Come on. But you know what I'm saying, right?
Right.
Like, he's a good player, but I mean, PFF doesn't like him, and he doesn't have great stop rate numbers, which really is one of the more important stats, at least against the run, because for defensive tackles, because against the pass, it's like, I don't really know how I should value a stop rate against the pass for a defensive tackle.
And people like the sack numbers and whatnot, but that's not really where defensive tackles get their bread and butter. That's just a handful of plays over a season.
Or if you're Aaron Donald good, so.
Outlier of all outliers.
And DeForest Buckner, too. Don't forget him. He's a good pass rusher.
Cam Hayward, too.
Yeah. It's really the top 3 are the great pass rushing defensive tackles, and after that, it's just like, I might get 7 sacks.
Yeah. But we mentioned, as we've kind of outlined, he's not very good, but he's not as good as I thought he was going to be when he came out of the draft. I thought he was going to be really good. He's just been solid, mediocre. But the Steelers... He's been a
guy, I guess you could say. Like he's been there.
I do like the signing for the Steelers because, as I mentioned, Tuitt retired. And they do have Cam Hayward and Chris Wormley are probably going to start at the ends. And Tyson Alualu is returning as the nose tackle. He only played 2 games last year, but he was one of the best defensive linemen in all of football in 2019 and 20. So Ogunjobi can play either the nose or an end, so he's probably going to kind of be like a fourth starter, spelling both Alualu and Wormley. Yeah. So maybe with lesser snaps, he can be more impactful. And Alualu is 35 years old, and he's probably going to retire after this season. So Ogunjobi will probably take over
what's
for
his
him.
contract, Ogunjobi?
It's just a 1-year deal.
Oh, okay.
It's worth up to $8 million in incentive. So if he shows well enough, the Steelers can re-sign him. But if he shows too well, maybe he signs a huge deal elsewhere, like the Bears tried to sign him. Yeah, and this also impacts DeMarvin Leal, who the Steelers drafted in the 3rd round. I thought he was going to have to play a huge role immediately, but now he can sit back and learn without immediately being thrown into the fray.
Yeah.
So that's good for him. I think it's a solid signing, not world-breaking, but it improves the team as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, again, I was not trying to, like, diss him when I brought up, like, the stop rate and all that. By the way,
You hate Larry Ogunjobi?
Well, no, I'm saying I wasn't trying to say he was, like, terrible.
I know.
Yeah. By the way, I just did that on the fly. Like, I did not prepare that. I saw the opportunity to, like, one-up you for once. Because you were saying how his PFF stats were bad, but you didn't mention them. So I was like, ah, it's my time to shine. So I came in.
I can't believe it.
Yeah.
You got it.
Yeah. But, I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, it helps. That's all I can put it. That's like, I don't know.
We're at the end of June. Like,
anyone left?
we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. Like,
You know, not really. There's some good receivers left, though. You got Odell.
Julio's out there.
Julio.
Will Fuller's out there.
Will Fuller's still out there. Oh, yeah, because he's like I'll go off for 6 games, then my ACL / I'll take steroids.
One of those guys is probably going to end up in Baltimore, I think.
Has to. I would. Oh my. Oh Jesus! Oh, I thought I was
We're having technical difficulties.
No, I thought my camera was about to fall. I thought it was about to like get really mad. No, Odell and Lamar would be. I hate the Baltimore Ravens, but you should too. Don't lie to yourself. But
I'm an objective fan.
My God, would those two be fun to watch? You got Lamar running back, RB. I just made that up on the spot. I'm kidding. I don't think he's a running back. That was a corny joke. With Odell. You got Lamar with Opu J.
Oh, gosh. It's just throwing them. You're ruining all the good juju you got with those stats.
I just went 0 for 2. I feel like Grant Williams in the finals the way I miss every shot.
That hit too deep.
You sucked so bad in that
And
series.
he's still better than Derek White.
Yeah. In the finals? Oh, yeah. Eastern Conference Finals, I'll give that to Derek, but because of 2 games, Game 6 and 7, with solid performance in Game 5. But anyways, I don't want to talk about that. It's basketball over. Yeah, good signing. Sure.
From that, it's not a great transition.
Yeah, not remotely. Not at all. Yeah.
It's been a sad week in sports. We've had multiple current / former players unfortunately pass away. Just a couple hours ago, Marlin Briscoe passed away. I know Joe's probably never heard of him. He was 76 years old.
Really bad. I don't know if that was just like an on my end thing or if that's going to be in the recording, and terrible time to bring that up.
And now if it wasn't in the recording, now you just ruined it either way. So
who cares?
Thanks for that, Joe. But Marlin Briscoe, he was the first black starting quarterback in the Super Bowl era, so huge. He threw 14 touchdowns in just 5 starts for the Broncos as a rookie in 1968, including 4 versus the Bills. Both of those still stand as Denver rookie records, and he had more touchdowns than interceptions in his rookie season, which is a rarity for the era. But that was the last time he played quarterback. He was traded to the Bills and converted to wide receiver, but he had a 1,000-yard, 8-touchdown season in 1970. He made the Pro Bowl, and he was even 9th in MVP voting. He later played with the Dolphins, and he led the undefeated 1972 Dolphins in touchdown catches, and he won 2 rings in those back-to-back 72-73 seasons. So, sad that he passed away, but we always like to honor these players when they do pass away, especially ones who have like historical significance, like Marlin Briscoe. You'll probably hardly ever hear about him, but
yeah, I mean, I think I actually have heard about him because I actually I think it was for one of my sports politics and policy class. Like, I might have looked that up. Oh no, it was actually for my what class did I take first semester? That was a sports class. Besides that, Sport and Society. Yeah, I looked up something about what was it about? I think it was about like the narrative about black quarterbacks, and I saw him, and yeah, I think I do kind of remember him, but yeah.
I'm proud of you, Joe. You're growing.
What do you mean?
You're learning about history
on
your own.
Yeah. Yeah, I was good
What'd
at
you
history
think?
in high school though. I don't know. I thought that was like a I don't know. Nothing. Keep going. Rest in peace though. Marlin.
Yeah, rest in peace to both Marlin Briscoe and Tony Siragusa. He was 55 years old. Siragusa was one of the best undrafted players ever. He started for 12 seasons, and he manned the middle for one of the best defenses ever with the 2000 Ravens, who won a Super Bowl. And he was just like the quintessential nose tackle of that era. He was a mammoth of a man, 6'3", 330 pounds. That's what he's listed at. He was probably heavier than that. Just ate up so much space. He was like an immovable object. He was famous for injuring Rich Gannon in the 2000 AFC Championship game. Again, like other mammoth of men during that era of nose tackles like Kimo von Oelhoffen did versus Carson Palmer. But he was one of the biggest personalities in football, which is what he's most known for, which is why he worked so well as Fox's sideline analyst. And that role rarely goes to former players like that. And it was great because he was a legit part of the broadcast too. He wasn't just, they weren't going to him for random news updates. He was kind of with the broadcast team the entire way, offering his inputs. But to get more of who he was as a person, watch the 2001 season of Hard Knocks, which was the first year with the Ravens. He was a big reason why that season was the best season. Everything was unfiltered, and he was just playing jokes on everybody throughout. I recommend everybody go check that out if you want to.
Reminds me of. I mean, obviously, I wasn't even born then, so like I would have no idea.
God.
But the Vince Wilfork Texans. Is it like a similar thing to that?
Yeah, it's similar to that. I forgot.
That was a great season also.
Yeah, they were pretty similar players in their build, how they played on the field, and
like
they were
maybe not the best
also
stats,
great
but they
personnel.
just plugged holes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But if you don't have anything more on Siragusa,
I basically like I told you before, like I don't remember him. But then when you brought up the 2000 Ravens and I looked up what he looked like, I was like, although I never really watched him, I do remember hearing about this guy and seeing him on Fox.
yeah, if you watched any football in the 2000s, you might not know his name, but you saw a picture of him, you're like, that guy. I know that guy.
Yeah, But
the Ravens also had another unfortunate loss on, I think it was the same day. Jaylon Ferguson, who is an outside linebacker who is currently on the team. He's only 26 years old. He also passed away. You know more about these younger players. I'll let you have the first word on Ferguson.
I mean, I don't know why you just put me on the spot like that. I really was not expecting that.
You want me to
Honestly,
go?
I do not know that much about Jaylon Ferguson as a player. But, I mean, I did know who he was. You know, I know he... Honestly, dude, I really don't have that much on Jaylon Ferguson because, like, I'm not gonna try and lie here because that would just be disrespectful. But I do know a little bit. I knew who he was. I knew he was on the Ravens. I knew he was an outside linebacker. But, you know...
Right. I'll tell you, when he played at Louisiana Tech, he was nicknamed the Sack Daddy.
Oh, really?
And
I know
for good
nothing
reason.
about college football because I don't really like college football. But, so, yeah, that stuff.
Yeah. He was nicknamed that because he had 45 career sacks in college, which is the NCAA FBS record. So, I'll admit I had to look that up too, but that's an outstanding achievement considering it's all of FBS all time. Which...
Yeah.
He was drafted in the third round in 2019 by the Ravens. He had 4.5 sacks and 47 pressures in 3 years. I think we mentioned last week that the Ravens had a need at edge, and obviously there are bigger things than football. But this is sad because he had a legit good shot at starting this season after not playing much last year.
The last 3 years, I think.
Mm-hmm.
His career high, he actually had two and a half sacks in his rookie year and 2 in his sophomore year. But he, like we said, like I don't know much about him because he didn't play that much. But I mean, he did have a good shot in his contract year and his rookie deal. You know what I mean? So. He had a shot.
We don't really want to get into details or speculation much, but at least there was no foul play. It was just a sad thing that happened.
Yeah.
He had 3 children under the age of 5, so again, rest in peace, gone far too soon, which we can also say about Caleb Swanigan, who mostly played with the Trailblazers in the NBA, had a cup of coffee with the Kings. He was really great in college with Purdue. He was the Big Ten Player of the Year in 2017, averaged 19, 13, and 3. He set the conference record with 28 double-doubles and led Purdue all the way to the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I remember him being really good in college.
All Big Ten players in the last 20 years combined have 2 20-and-20 games, and Swanigan had 4 in one single season. So he was nicknamed Biggie for a reason. He dominated the boards whenever he played. He also had some weight issues. His father died of diabetes. We saw Damian Lillard famously defended him after people were posting pictures of him. I've seen people say, like, don't talk about people unless you know their story. You don't have to know their story to not be disrespectful. You should always be respectful of people no matter if you know what they're going through or not. It's just another sad situation. Again, rest in peace. I don't know if you have any other words to say about Swanigan.
I mean, Caleb Swanigan, I remember him being in the NBA because that was right when I started watching the NBA. Not like I forget when he was drafted.
2017.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was like a year or two before that I started. But I honestly weirdly remember him from like 2K, my leagues and stuff. Because, I would pick the Blazers sometimes. Maybe I would, sign him. Because he was actually, he was not a bad player by any means. He was a good role player for the Blazers. That's how I really remember him. Because, I don't watch Blazers games a lot. So, that's like the only way I remember him. But that really doesn't matter. Rest in peace to the man. He was only 25, and to think about the fact that he was drafted in 2017, it really makes you think, like, how young NBA players are drafted, and, like, how, like, weird it is because, like, they're not mature at all yet, and they have to, like, make life decisions that could lead to bad things happening. Now,
you were just mentioning how you're not an adult yet, and you're, what, 20, 21?
I'm 20, and Paulo Banchero is younger than me.
I don't even feel like an adult, and I'm not going to say how old I am, but...
He's 33. I'm kidding.
32 and a half. But, yeah, we just wanted to respect these players who all passed away recently. Rest in peace to all 4 of them. We don't ever like to see anything like that happen. Yeah. There's no real good way to transition from that, just like there's no good way to transition into that. But we had a couple other topics we wanted to hit on. There's not a lot of news going on in sports right now, especially the ones that we care about. So we just want some...
Maybe there's like MLS news, but I mean... Yeah. I was actually going to work for the Revolution. New England Revolution. I was going to be a statistician, but then I realized I hate soccer. I am not doing that. I'm not... Because I do... It would have been an easy commute in the summer. I would have been like, oh, hey, Gillette.
Yeah, I had to produce a radio broadcast for a baseball game, and I realized then
I could do baseball.
You couldn't pay me to watch baseball.
I don't like baseball, but I could do baseball. I could do hockey, but I don't really understand the rules, so I wouldn't be good at it. But I don't mind watching hockey, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's hard to track, especially stats for soccer.
Yeah.
I would not envy you.
It's like, how many minutes did they run today?
How many times did they kick the ball?
Literally. Well, that's just us being very ignorant to soccer, but, that's like the outsider looking in kind of opinion. All right, anyways, we did have 2 topics that we felt like we should get into. We're going to start off with, I don't know how many teams we're going to do each, but teams who made the playoffs in 2021 who are most likely to miss in 2022.
Who's the first team that came to mind for you?
Do you want me to be honest?
Let's hear it.
The Patriots. I think we can miss the playoffs next year. We're in a tough division. We're in a tough conference. We already have to face Josh Allen twice a year. And yes, we did beat him. But do you want to know why we beat him? It was negative something degrees and 50-mile-an-hour winds. That's what Belichick can do.
We
That's a
saw he
Belichick
had
game.
one of the greatest passing performances ever against them in the playoffs, and he was great in the second matchup too. So
Yeah. We should have won the... Oh, dude, I don't even want to talk about that. We should have won the second game. That was brutal, that game. I remember that. That hurt. So, I'm going to do... How many do you want to do? A couple from each conference, like one or two? Or like however many we can think of.
yeah,
So, I'm also going to say Pittsburgh.
I was going to say,
I mean,
you had your team, and I had my team listed as well.
Okay, well, no, I'll let you say it then.
Well, I mean, it's obvious they were not a great team at all last year. They had
Yeah, I don't know how you guys made the playoffs. I will never understand that, but...
I'll tell you. They had the 6th worst point differential ever for a playoff team. They had minus 59, but that's because they were 8-2-1 in one-score games. So they just had a lot of luck in those clutch games, which...
Wait. The one... That's like the opposite of the Lions. The Lions were in so many... I don't mean to cut you off, but the Lions were in so many close games this year for no reason. Like, they had... Like, Jared Goff is their quarterback. That's a thing from somewhere. I forget where. But he was their quarterback, and they just found a way to stay in games. But anyways, continue.
Yeah, that's funny because they both have that 1 at the end of their record because they tied.
Forgot about that.
But yeah, that's why a lot of people were predicting the Lions to be a lot better this year because they were competitive in all those games. And close games tend to regress to the mean. And the Steelers were so lucky in those games last year.
They probably won't be so this year, especially although anyone is an upgrade over 2021 Ben Roethlisberger.
Yep, I was about to say that. I would not be shocked if they made the playoffs because Trubisky, Pickett, even Rudolph, if somehow he played, would be better than Ben.
No.
But
no, I don't think Rudolph will be better than Ben last year.
I don't think he's going to make the
cannot
team.
believe that. Yeah.
But, yeah, Mike Tomlin just has a way. They're probably going to be 9-8, something like that. I think they'll probably miss the playoffs. I would not be shocked if they made it, but
yeah,
they would not be a team I would be betting on.
Yeah, for the Patriots, I'll give my reasons. We regressed our roster so much. JC's gone. That's really like, oh, Shaq Mason's gone. That might not seem like a lot, because that's really the only, like, Dante Hightower retired, but he really wasn't that good last year.
Jamie Collins.
Again, he wasn't that good last year. But, like, we have 2 meaningful pieces. One of the top, maybe 5 corners in the league-ish. Depends how you look at it, because he was like a turnover machine. You know, he's Mr. INT. And then Shaq Mason, a great guard. Those 2 are very valuable pieces. While we did draft Cole Strange, as well as 2 corners, that does help. But our wide receiver room is also... It's like the definition of 16th ranked. Like, you got some solid pieces, but you don't have a single star. You have one guy who could go over 1,000, potentially. Our tight ends are great. I mean, we just didn't know how to use Jonnu Smith for some ungodly reason. That pissed me off. And then our defense just is not great. We have an old Devin McCourty. Our number 1 corner is Jonathan Jones, who's not, by no means a bad corner, but he was out for a lot of last season. And he's always been a the third starting quarterback. So having to see him against number 1s, I'm going to be afraid. Very. We still have, like, our linebacker group really isn't that great. I really don't like what I'm seeing from the Patriots for this next season. Oh, I mean, we did get Malcolm Butler, sure. I honestly forgot we did that, but... Oh my god, I'm being
Devontae
stupid.
Parker.
Who was the... well, yeah, that's the one guy I was saying that could go over 1,000. I'm trying to think of the one guy. Oh my god. The one corner who Gabriel Davis cooked.
I feel like you've mentioned him multiple times
I
on
have
the podcast.
multiple times, because this man sucks absolute balls at football.
I can't think of his name.
You know what? Talk. I'll find him.
It's funny we both picked AFC teams, which I think is fitting.
Well, I was going to say an NFC team as well, but...
Well, yeah, but the first ones were AFC teams.
And both
because
are teams.
We've seen how much AFC teams are loading up this offseason with everybody in the AFC West looking like they could make the playoffs. The Colts added Matt Ryan. The Titans are still there. The Bengals, the Ravens should improve. The Bills, the Dolphins improved. Everybody in the AFC, it's an
scary
arms race.
division.
And if you didn't do much, like the Patriots, or if you already were not good, like the Steelers, you're falling behind.
Yeah. I mean, we have to go, at least in my division, we have to go, not my division, I don't play football, you know what I mean. We have to go against the Dolphins twice a year, the Bills twice a year. Hell, even the Jets are finally competitive. And I don't like that at all.
And the Steelers, I think the Ravens, I don't want to get much into them because they may be on my other list.
No, it was Isaiah McKenzie who torched us. Sorry, I'm sorry.
I was just trying to fill dead air while you were researching, so
go ahead. All right, I'm looking. Keep talking.
This is very important information, folks.
No, because this is going to bother me if I don't figure it out. Is it Adrian Phillips? No, it's not. Adrian Phillips is actually solid for us. All right, okay, it's number 41. I remember that. Number 41, Patriots, 2021. Miles Bryant, that guy, I wouldn't care if that man never played in the NFL again. He was so terrible. Anyways, let me give you my NFC team. Screw Gabriel Davis for that. This is gonna surprise people, maybe. For the team that won't make it, I'm gonna go with the Arizona Cardinals.
Whoa, big shocker. That was the team that instantly came to mind for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I was thinking maybe you could think of the 49ers because maybe Trey Lance might not be great in his rookie season if he starts, Right. Obviously it's not his rookie year, but it's, you know what I mean. It's like the Mahomes thing. Maybe you could think the Eagles because Jalen Hurts, depends what you think about him. Maybe, low-key, you might be able to say the Cowboys because the Eagles are definitely better than them. The NFC East in itself, it's between those two teams. Obviously, I think one of them might miss it. Whoever doesn't win the division has a chance of missing the playoffs, in my opinion. But some people might think it's a lock for both of them to make it. I don't know. The Cowboys got worse. Eagles got better. But still. But I picked the Cardinals because Kyler and Russell Wilson are the same player. They'll be MVP levels for the first 8 games. Second half of the season, good, not great. First 8 games, I thought Kyler was a top 4 quarterback in the league at the moment. I thought he was going to win MVP. But, how it ended, he did get hurt and, played through it. But, yeah. And then D-Hop suspended for, 8 or 6 games? I can't recall.
I think it was 6. Yeah.
And then they also lost Chandler Jones. That's a big, big loss. I don't really like how their defense looks. If you want to be honest, I couldn't name a single cornerback on that roster.
They, even going into last year, I thought they had one of the worst cornerback rooms in the NFL. Somehow they played above their talent for at least most of the season, then it kind of got exposed at the end. They didn't do much to improve this year, so I would not be shocked if, especially with...
No, seriously, I don't know a single corner on that team, do you?
I know Buda Baker. I do, I can't think of it off the top of my head.
I'm actually going to look it up, but yeah.
But,
Are you looking it up too?
Yeah.
Because, dude, seriously.
It's I know, I can picture it. Yeah. I could
Yep.
picture him in my mind. I could not think of his name.
What, number 7, right? Yeah, number 7. Yep. Okay, I do know Byron Murphy, but point proven. He's decent, but he's not Anyways, do you have another team or?
Well, I was gonna say about the Cardinals.
sorry.
We all know about how they falter at end of seasons. Even Kingsbury himself, they lost 5 of their last 6 last year, and in that playoff game against the Rams. Yeah, that playoff game against the Rams was one of the worst playoff performances ever, and that's telling.
Not
especially,
that we are ones to talk, but
I was gonna say it's telling considering how many teams completely wet the bed in the wild card round last year. Both of our teams, the Eagles, also were terrible, and the Cardinals, as you mentioned, they lost Chandler Jones. They also lost a lot of other starters, maybe not stars, but Chase Edmonds, Jordan Hicks, Christian Kirk, Jordan Phillips, Max Garcia, and they didn't really add anybody in free agency. They re-signed a couple guys like AJ Green, Zach Ertz.
I'll give Marquise Brown the edge over Christian Kirk. That's kind of why I didn't really say anything about it. But they did use a first-round pick on him.
Yeah,
Chase Edmonds.
I mean,
that is
even
a
without
big
Kurt
loss,
or Hopkins, I don't know how we want to weigh that.
Hey, I don't really think the Cardinals cared because I think they have a lot of faith in Rondell Moore, and I do too.
I just hope that they use him in more ways as an actual wide receiver next year. He was impressive over the first half of the season with all these long plays, and then he kind of disappeared. I was also not super impressed with their draft. The guys they got at least likely won't contribute much in 2022. Their first pick was 55th overall, and it was another tight end in Trey McBride.
He's good
develop, but they just re-signed Zach Ertz and Max Williams, who will probably, he probably won't see the field for a bit. And then they had a couple of complimentary edge defenders that they hope can replace Chandler Jones, but even if they do grow into that, it won't be immediate. So I don't want to say it, but I might be shocked if they do make the playoffs this year, honestly.
And what?
No, I didn't say
anything. Honestly, the Cardinals, I when they went 7-0, I was like, they're good, but I don't think they're going to finish number 1 in the conference because obviously at the time they were on pace for that. But the second that Packers game happened, I was like, yeah, this doesn't look like it's gonna, That
was when Rodgers didn't have a single
wide that's my point.
Like
the fact that they lost that game, I was like, yeah, this team is not a 7-0 team. But I want to start off with a team that I think will make the playoffs. I'm also going to do one from each conference. That didn't make it, I should say. I'm not going to go the obvious Chargers pick because that's boring. Obviously, they're going to make the playoffs. I was going to go with the Ravens, but I also feel like that might be a little obvious. But we do have a very competitive AFC this year to where anyone can make it, anyone can miss it. Not anyone, but you know what I'm saying. There are a couple locks. I'm between the Colts and the Broncos because one of these two teams has to miss it. One of them. Because, let's think, you got the Titans, Chiefs, Buffalo, Cincinnati. Obviously, the top 4 seeds are all making it back. You got LA. That's 5. Then there's 2 spots left. And that's between Miami, Indy, Cleveland, depending on suspension, Baltimore, and Denver.
I will say, are you that confident in Tennessee? I know a lot of people are selling on them right now.
I think, no. But I do think they are locked for the playoffs, just because of how the AFC South is. If they can split the Indy games, and then obviously knock on wood, because Carson Wentz and the Colts didn't last year. If they could sweep the Texans and Jaguars, I think that's automatically 5 wins right there. I do think they have a hard schedule, but I think with Derrick Henry coming back, Tannehill sucks. I want to see Malik Willis play. Do you think he's good?
I think Tannehill's like Carson Wentz is for you.
Okay.
There's just something.
You know what?
I'll always back him.
You know what?
But he actually has the results to back him up, unlike Carson Wentz. But anyways.
Carson Wentz almost won an MVP. What has Ryan Tannehill done individually?
Ryan Tannehill's 2019 and 2020 seasons were better than Wentz's 2017. He just had better competition.
Who did?
Tannehill in 2019 and 20 had better quarterback competition than Wentz did in 2017, which was when every quarterback was injured.
Whatever.
Anyways, I think Mike Vrabel
I'm going to go with the
kind of.
Indianapolis Colts. I'm sorry to cut you off.
I wanted to make one point about the Titans before you go with the Colts. I think Mike Vrabel is like the new version of Mike Tomlin, where no matter the talent, they're always going to have a solid baseline.
His name's Mike too.
It's always a solid baseline with me. Why are you the way that you are?
I don't know.
Go sit in the corner.
I'm in a corner.
Anyways, the Titans, even if they fall off, there's a solid baseline there that if they win a couple close games, they should be in the mix regardless. You can come out of the corner and talk about the Colts now, Joe. I told you it was just a 10-second thing about the Titans.
more seconds. I want you to blankly stare into that camera. How does it feel? Could you hear me? Or no? Yep, alright, good. You could. Anyways, I have the Indianapolis Colts going to the playoffs. No. Sir, I'm not going to say your age. You don't want me to, so. You are too old for that. I'm too old for that.
For audio listeners, I just dabbed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, true. I have the Colts because Matt Ryan, I think he has a lot left in the tank. Hell, I had the Colts making the playoffs last year. Obviously, there was a collapse and some close games that they lost that they could have won easily. But, excuse me. Sorry. With how elite that defense is, Darius Leonard is just him by himself is enough. And DeForest Buckner, both top 3 at their position. Yeah, definitely. Darius Leonard might be one.
Have some conviction, Joe.
Well, I'm thinking like for DeForest, like I really can't think of another defensive tackle better than him besides the 2.
Yeah, he's probably 3rd.
Yeah. Darius Leonard by himself is already enough to say. And then that offensive line is just crazy good. And then wide receiver room, I mean, they got Pittman, and that's really it. But unless they sign Julio, who's been rumored there a couple times earlier in the offseason, but we all know what Julio is now. He's
I was going to say, weren't you just trashing him like 20 minutes ago?
He would be a good wide receiver, too.
That's what the Titans thought.
Well, yeah. You're right. Yeah. All right. Well, that point is now gone. They do have some solid players, though, obviously. Outside of Quentin Nelson, Darius Leonard, and DeForest Buckner. Obviously, they have top 3 running back, Jonathan Taylor. Maybe top 2. I would not put him 1. That we all know who that belongs to. Even though he got hurt last year. Even if he's a volume machine.
Damian Harris.
He's not bad, man. He's not bad. He's not overhated, but he doesn't get. That means underrated. He doesn't get talked about enough. But that's kind of why I have the Titans making the playoffs as lock, is just because Derrick Henry by himself. I mean, he's like the one running back I've seen in my time watching football that can single-handedly carry a team, and we saw that in those playoffs in 2019. Yeah. But Colts, Jonathan Taylor I think he could do the same thing. Whether it's receiving, because he's a good receiving back, he just doesn't get like a ton of targets. Whether it's rushing the ball behind that elite offensive line, he gets so many big plays and so many just meaningful runs. And then you have Matt Ryan, who I still think has some left in the tank. He was just on a terrible, terrible, terrible Falcons team last year with Calvin Ridley for 6 games. But in those, maybe it was not 6, but you know what I mean. In those few games, Calvin Ridley was not a good football player. He had like 2 good games. He was on my fantasy team. It sucked, but I think he only hit like 40 yards, over 40 yards like twice. And he had like 2 or 3 touchdowns. And sorry. Yeah, I just lost my whole train of thought.
I'll take over. You also didn't mention the Colts.
My
added.
mom walked down and I got distracted. It's not my fault.
It's never your fault, is it, Joe?
I heard if you notice, I got quiet. I heard the door open. I was like, someone's gonna come down here. Don't do it. I told you. I was preparing for it. You know what I mean?
Anyways,
Sorry.
The Colts, they also added Stephon Gilmore, Defensive Player of the Year, a couple years ago.
I didn't even get to that yet. That was yeah.
They added Yannick Ngakoue too, good pass rusher.
Yeah.
I mean, he's gonna start.
He helps. Yeah. He'll get like 8 sacks.
But the Colts, they had the 7th best point differential in the NFL last year, and they were the only team in the top 13 that didn't make the playoffs.
You know what? I need to ask. Did you have that before, or did you look that up while I was talking?
I had it.
Oh, because you were going to pick the Colts?
I had a couple listed. Some had more information than others.
Okay. Yep.
But, yeah, I think they're a solid bet as any. Matt Ryan, I've long said he has a lot left in the tank. He just didn't see it. Because,
I would not say a lot. I don't think he has like a
lot more than people would give him credit for.
Yeah. How old is he now? I'll look it up.
Like 36, 37.
37, yeah. I would not say he has I'd say he has 2 or 3 years.
I think he's probably about the level that Phillip Rivers was when he played in Indy in 2020. Maybe top 12, top 15-ish quarterback. And he has the stability that Rivers had that Wentz did not have. Wentz probably had higher floor, lower ceiling than those two did, but Ryan won't lose you a game the way that Wentz did.
Do you mean lower floor, higher ceiling for Wentz?
That's what I meant to say if I did not say that,
okay.
but yes.
Okay. Because I was higher floor. I love Carson, but higher floor.
Thank you for correcting me. I did not even realize. So.
Okay, yeah, because that's there's some things you don't have to correct, if some stuff, but
that
is
essential to my entire point.
Yeah.
So yes, it wasn't like you saying he's top 3 when he's actually top 4.
Yeah.
But I'll go with one of my AFC teams. As you mentioned, I had the Chargers listed, but I didn't write a lot because that's everybody's pick. It's everybody's pick every year. We know all the players they added, how close they were last year. I will mention one underrated signing they had was Sebastian Joseph Day because run defense was their biggest weakness last year, and everybody's focusing on J.C. Jackson and Khalil Mack, but I think he might have the biggest impact just because of how bad they were at that position last year. But the team I wanted to focus on, you said they're a little obvious, is the Ravens. People forget they were 8-3 and they were the 1 seed in December. That was with all the injuries. Then Lamar went out and the close game luck went out the window with him. But even then, when Tyler Huntley was starting, they had a 2-point loss at Cleveland. They had a 1-point loss at Green Bay when they went for 2 and missed it. They had a 1-point loss versus the Rams, who had to score a game-winning touchdown with less than a minute to go. And then in the final game, they had a 3-point overtime loss to the Steelers. They were 6-6 in one-score games, but extreme regressions on both ends of the season. So you have to factor in the health because it wasn't just Lamar Jackson. Marcus Peters missed the entire season. J.K. Dobbins missed the entire season. Gus Edwards missed the entire season. L.J. Fort, Derek Wolfe, Marlon Humphrey missed the final 5 games. Rashad Bateman missed 4 games. Deshaun Elliott missed 11 games. Ronnie Stanley only played 1 game. And they were still in the playoff mix in Week 18. Lamar Jackson, his stats were the worst they've been since his rookie season. But with what he was dealing with, it was maybe the most impressed I've ever been, at least since his MVP season, because he was carrying them. I think he's always been underrated as a passer, but he improved at least over the first half of the season before the even more injuries wore him down and he started turning the ball over. And the Lamar can't win from behind narrative, that's officially dead because they won 4 games with Lamar where they had a win probability of 15% or worse. They beat the Chiefs when they only had a 9% win probability. They had a 12.9% against the Vikings, 3.9 against the Colts, and 2.9 against the Lions. I think with extra help, extra health, I think they're going to win the AFC North. I'll say it. I think they're better than the Bengals. And if some reason they don't, maybe they lose a close game here or there, I think they'll make it as a wild card regardless. Yeah. So I think they're pretty much a shoo-in, in my opinion, unless somehow they have all the injuries that they just had last year.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of like I said, I didn't go with them because, I thought it was obvious, at least in my opinion. But, I do see why it is a good talking point to bring them up because, like you just said, you said they'll win the division, which might not be the most popular take given the recency bias on the Bengals. But I want to get into my NFC team.
I wonder who it's going to be. Is it the obvious one for the podcast? Oh, God.
Jabu Winston and the Saints are making the playoffs next year. And if anyone's made it this far, I'm going to spoil it. That is what my next video is about. That I will say that they will win the NFC South. My reasoning.
That's a hot
season,
take.
With Jameis Winston at quarterback, the Saints were an elite team, believe it or not. They were 5-2 at the time of his injury prior to tearing his ACL. while Winston may not have had the most volume stats, he was very, very efficient, which we have never seen from Jameis before in his career. Jameis before in his career, Alright, I'm trying to think about this. How do I say this? In his 3 seasons of playing 16 games, I was about to say 16 or more, he has not thrown under 15 interceptions. 13 games, he threw 11. 9 games started, he threw 14, but he came in a couple times. He played in 11 games. But with the Saints last season, he only threw 3 interceptions in 7 games, which is incredibly ridiculous for who Jameis Winston is as a player. And obviously he was not near an MVP level or anything like that, but from 33 and 30 a couple seasons ago, or was it 33? Yes, and 30 and leading the league in passing yards to 14-3. It's a complete change of style of play. And you have to think about it. He might not have had the best stats like passing yards and all that. His number 1 was Marquez Callaway. There's nothing you can do with that. But now that the Saints have Chris Olave at the 2 or 3, Jarvis at the 2 or 3, and Michael Thomas back healthy with a potentially developed Adam Trotman, who I actually do not mind as a tight end prospect. I'm not even lying when I say that. Alvin Kamara obviously is an elite running back, injury prone at times. Their defense is great with players like Marshawn Lattimore on that team, as well as Tyrann Mathieu. They have a solid case to beating the Bucs because they have dominated the Bucs every single year of the Tom Brady era. I believe they are 4-0 against the Bucs. And that was with a not great Drew Brees. Came off an injury, old, didn't have the arm he used to have, with an injured Michael Thomas as well, only playing handful of games. I don't think there's a way that anyone can argue or completely argue against the Saints having a chance to win the NFC South with how talented that roster is and how efficient Jameis finally was in his career. While, yes, they lost Sean Payton, they still have a great head coach in Dennis Allen, their defensive coordinator for the past 3 years, 4 years. He's a great person to have. While Jameis is a weird leader, he's still a good leader. While he does eat W's, and he's not good at pregame speeches, but he still gets the people around him to believe in him because that's just who he is. And I believe that the Saints will win the NFC South in 2022.
Co-host guy, yeah.
Look at you. All these numbers, all these facts. I'm proud of you. But
I am very keen. This is my next video. I'm very keen on this topic.
I think anybody who's listened to the podcast, you can't be surprised at this. The Saints are pretty much the JM2D show's favorite team at this point. We talk about how great they are every episode and how we both are going to be shocked if they don't make the playoffs next year. You basically hit on every point. Even last year, you mentioned that they beat the Bucs 2 years ago with a not good
One of them was
Brees.
not with Jameis. Let's keep that in mind.
I was going to say last year,
how good
Taysom
they were
Hill
even
started
without Jameis.
Taysom Hill started the game at Tampa, and the first game was when Winston got hurt, and Trevor Siemian came in and led him to the win. So, if you just have a healthy Jameis Winston with all these added pieces, obviously the Bucs are favorites. But like you said, you can't just straight up count the Saints out of the conversation. With
and you also
how
have to keep in mind the rest of the
are.
division's terrible.
Yeah, so they have a couple easy wins just handed to them right off the bat.
I think they at least have 5 in the division. There's no way they lose to the Panthers or Falcons. What, to Marcus Mariota and Sam Darnold? No. And
I mean, they did get blown out by Sam Darnold last year.
Was it a Jameis game? Oh, okay. Oh, that was during Darnold's random, I'm the best rushing quarterback of all time stint. Remember when he had 5 touchdowns in 3 or 4 games?
And everybody bought in, except old me.
I was like, all right, maybe he could be a top 20 quarterback, but then he went down to number 30.
But yeah, even with all the injuries last year, they were still in the playoff mix to the very last second. The 49ers needed that big comeback just to beat them into the playoffs. They were 9-8. They were the most injured team in the NFL, maybe
even
second to Baltimore.
Yeah.
But the NFC is a lot weaker than the AFC, so they have less competition to get in this year. Even with everything that happened last year, they had a 2-point loss to Atlanta, a 2-point loss to Tennessee. Trevor Siemian started both games. They lost to Dallas only by 10 when Taysom Hill threw 4 interceptions. It's they were in those games even with
terrible,
Tim Tebow
terrible,
2.0
terrible quarterback play
at quarterback.
with no wide receiver. Like it's actually crazy to think, if you are someone who thinks that the Saints don't have a chance of winning that division, I think that's absolute blasphemy, and you do not deserve to have a chance at ever being an analyst in the NFL or even on NFL Twitter, because that is like the amount that they upgraded compared to the amount that the Bucs may have upgraded. They really all I can think of that they got was Shaq Mason. They digressed at tight end. Their corners have never been good. Regressed. Digressed is a word, though, I think. I think I'm thinking I digressed. Whatever. They regressed at tight end, which really isn't that big of a deal. But it's a thing. I didn't their center retire?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jensen retired?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's pretty big. I mean, yeah, they did get Shaq Mason, who plays guard, but I have no idea who their current center is. Maybe it's a rookie. Maybe it's like what their second string was last year. Their defense is obviously great, but their corners have always been an issue. Antoine Winfield is good, but I think he's currently the most overrated safety in the league.
Just going off.
Yeah, because you know I love this take, and I genuinely think that the Saints are going to win. I don't think that it's a can. I think they are going to win. I think they'll be about 12-5, and I think the Bucs will be right behind them, maybe tied the same record, but I will always give the divisional wins to the Saints because of how they've dominated the Bucs in the past couple of years.
Co-host guy, yeah.
I have nothing to add. You hit on every point, and you did it a lot more emphatically than I ever possibly could have. So, go Saints. They're going to make the playoffs.
You want to get on the next topic?
Yeah, I was going to ask, do you want to do it, or do you want to save it for next week? We've been going for over an hour, but I'm good either way.
Just want to save it. I feel like that was a great way for me to end it. Just that emphatic, because I'm not going to be as excited. Not that it's a bad topic. It's a topic.
And it's a nice preview for your next video. Everybody can go subscribe to Fanatics Sports on YouTube if you have not already. And maybe he'll finally follow all you back on Twitter.
I followed the Clonecast back during this podcast, but keep going.
Well, check if any of my other friends have followed you.
I will.
Anyways,
I don't look.
Yeah, we know you're
my
terrible
Twitter's
at
so
Twitter.
bad that I just don't care who follows me and doesn't. Thank you to those who do, but I do tweet a lot, but
Anyways, you know what time it is.
This is where the fun begins.
Got 2 questions, co-host guy. It's becoming like a weekly thing at this point. Only 10 tight ends in NFL history have multiple seasons with double-digit touchdown receptions. Can you name them?
Tony
Gonzalez, he did it 3 times.
Gates.
Antonio Gates did it 4 times.
Jimmy Graham
also did it 4 times.
Kelsey.
Travis Kelce has done it twice.
Because Kellen Winslow Sr.
Pathetic.
That is incorrect.
That was not but you can't even hit pathetic there. That was a good guess.
He actually only did it once because he had a very short career.
Yeah, I know, but
like
it was I had to throw it out
It's
there.
a good
Did I say
guess,
Jimmy?
Yeah, you said Jimmy Graham.
I want to say Mark Andrews, but I don't know how confident I am in that answer. Yeah,
Try
Mark Andrews.
again.
Oh, you gave me that face like I was right. You did that. You just teased me. That was wicked sus. But, how many people have done it? 10?
10, and you've got 4. You're
I
missing
don't
an
want to
obvious
say.
one.
I do not want to say Ditka.
Do you?
Yeah, I'll do it, Ditka.
You
I just feel like he
can't
played so
win.
long ago. Witten.
Jason Witten.
You can't win.
Is there there's an obvious answer?
Yeah, you're missing a really obvious one.
Tony, Gronk, Kelsey,
Huh?
Gates.
Huh?
What?
You did not say one of those that you just mentioned.
Gates?
No, you got him.
Kelsey.
You got Graham, Gates, Gonzalez, and Kelsey.
I thought Gronk was
You did not mention him.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, he's first. He has 5. He's the only person who has 5.
See, I just thought I didn't think I had to say it, but I thought you said outside of Gronk, because like we were talking about Gronk at first, but that's my fault. I honestly might have to call it there. I don't think I can like.
Come on, man. There's a Hall of Famer. He was on our
Hall of
poll.
Famer? Bro, I didn't even know you tweeted a poll. I didn't like go on Twitter that much.
You should have our tweet notifications on.
I like don't have Twitter notifications on. I refuse.
The Hall of Famer, he played with the Broncos.
Oh, Sharp.
Shannon Sharp.
I should have, yeah.
Twice.
I
Another guy
have
also played
6.
for the Broncos, but about
Julius Thomas. Yeah.
Julius Thomas did
Peyton
it
Manning
twice.
days. Yeah.
That's what happens when you have the GOAT thrown to you.
Oh, so that's why Gronk has it 5 times. I gotcha.
But he's great himself. Julius Thomas is trash.
Yeah, he really wasn't that good.
3 more.
Remember when he
One of
went to
them
the
you're not
Jaguars?
going to get. You might get 2 other guys. Another one also played with Peyton Manning.
Oh, Dallas Clark.
Dallas Clark did
He's
it
not a Hall of
twice.
Famer yet?
He actually only made
Crazy.
1 Pro Bowl in his career.
Crazy. I still think he's a great. I still think he.
He had that 100 catch season in 2009. He was first team All-Pro. But it was always so weird. He never wore gloves. He wore number 44 at tight end. He had a unique look at the position. 2 more guys. One of them I know you're not going to get, but you should get the other guy.
Is it Ertz?
It is
Pathetic.
not Ertz.
How long ago did this guy play? / is he active?
This guy played from 2006 to 2019.
Vernon Davis. Yeah.
It is Vernon
I'm
Davis.
not-
He did it twice.
I'm throwing it. No, this guy's a run blocking tight. Not even. He just was. He's not even a good tight end. He's just been in the league for so long. I was gonna say Mercedes
Try
Lewis.
again.
Like he's not that good, but like, yeah.
He
no.
did have one.
Oh my God! No! Is it Dennis Pitta?
Try again.
It is not. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
No,
I said,
wait.
you're not gonna get
is
this
it
guy.
Is it Steelers tight end?
It is not.
Okay, I was trying to think of that one. Heath Miller, but
You couldn't even think of Heath Mill.
no, I just did, didn't I?
It took you a minute though.
Well, he wouldn't be in the top. He wouldn't be in the first 10 people, I would say.
Anyways, the last guy's Wesley Wallace.
Who is
I
that?
wouldn't have gotten. He played with the Panthers in the 90s.
No.
He was solid, but I wouldn't have thought of that
Do you
either.
even know who he is?
I know of him. He's not someone I would have immediately guessed.
Okay. Now the last question. I got 90.
Yeah, you got
5%.
90.
Yeah.
With, a lot of incorrect answers.
All right, so
But
I'll give
anyways.
myself- I'll give myself a 70.
Actually, this other question deals with our other topic, but since I already have it, I'm just going to do it anyways. It's not like super specific. 10 players have had a season with 1,300 receiving yards and 10 plus touchdown receptions in either their first or second season since 2000. Who are they? And you get a bonus point if you can name the one player who did it in both his first and second year.
Jamar
Chase is correct.
Jay Jettas.
He is also correct. He did it in 2021.
Not Devontae. He wasn't good until like his 3rd or 4th year. He was actually terrible.
If anyone wants to
Video.
know
You have a
just how
great
terrible
video on that.
Devontae Adams, yes, watch my video from December 2020.
What is it? 1,310.
Yes.
No reception count, right? Just the yards.
Just yards and touchdowns.
Odell, obviously. Is he the bonus?
He is the bonus. He had it in both his rookie
yeah.
and sophomore
It was
season.
crazy part is he did in 12 games his rookie year.
One of the greatest receiver seasons of all
Oh,
time,
yeah.
regardless
I'm
of
gonna just throw
year.
this out there, Dez Bryant.
Try again.
I knew when you paused you were trying to find a sound.
I'm sorry for being so predictable.
How many are there? 10?
There's 10, and you have 3.
Larry
Fitzgerald is correct.
Jerry Rice.
Since 2000.
Wait, what'd you say?
These are players since 2000.
Oh, my fault. Marvin Harrison.
Since 2000. He was drafted in like 96.
When was Reggie Wayne drafted?
2001, I believe.
Yeah, Reggie.
That's the best you can do?
It's a pretty good guess, dude.
A solid guess.
Demaryius Thomas.
Try again.
Hines Ward. No, he was drafted in
1998.
Yeah. How many of them are recent that I've left?
One player did it in 2020. And it was his sophomore year.
How did he do last year? Was he good?
He was solid. He had double-digit touchdowns.
Juju.
Pathetic.
No, there's no way. I refuse to believe
Juju was
he's not
drafted
on
in
this list.
2017.
No, I know, but I refuse
Yeah,
to believe
he-
he's not on this list.
He did not hit double-digit touchdowns in 2018, if that's what you're thinking.
Yeah, because he had like 1,400, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he had 7. God damn it. Oh, jeez. Michael Thomas.
You can't win.
Look, you have to do that for the bad guesses, because these are some good guesses.
Some of these sounds are a little harsh.
A little bit. Like, makes me feel like I'm stupid when I'm saying good names. Jarvis. No. Rescind that. He got, like, his career high in touchdowns is, like, 6. But
Yeah, I don't think he's ever had 1,300 yards either,
he's had, like, 1,200 once, I think.
which is famously not 1,300.
Anyways,
Get the
who
guy
did
in 2020.
2020? He's drafted in 2019.
Yes,
DK.
DK Metcalf.
I had to, like, think about what year he was drafted. Look, I don't think I'm going to get the rest, honestly. Oh, AJ Green.
Come on, man. AJ Green. There's one guy on the... Actually, there's 2 guys on this list who are on the other quiz.
Gronk. Kelsey.
And-
No. Yeah? Mark Andrews.
He was drafted the same year as Gronk. Jimmy Graham.
He was drafted the same year as Gronk? I actually didn't know
Yep. They both had monster seasons in 2011. They both had 1,300 yards, and Gronk had 17 touchdowns and Jimmy Graham had 11. They were like going back and forth at the end of the season to who could break the yardage mark for a tight end. You got 2 more guys. One's a Hall of Famer.
There's like so many Hall of Fame receivers from this
He
era, though.
just won Hall of Fame last year.
So he retired. Was he a first ballot?
First ballot.
So he retired 5 years before that. So if he won in 2020, he retired in 2015. Yo, this is like not the Hall of Famer. Brandon Marshall.
Again.
Dude, that's like a good guess, though.
That was like one of my least harsh sound effects.
Yeah, I know, but it still hurt. Promise I'm a better quiz taker in school.
That's what they all say.
I had a 4.0 last semester. You're wrong.
How does that prove me wrong that that's what they all say?
Because that means like that you're wrong. That's like a sarcastic remark.
It's just what they all say. They could be right, they could be wrong, but it's what they all say.
Oh, I'm right. So either way, Hall of Famer, 2015 retirement. Is it Steve Smith? What's he famous for?
First, Steve Smith is not a Hall of Famer, but this guy famously retired very early in his career.
You know.
Say it.
Megatron.
Say it for the audio listeners. Megatron, Calvin Johnson, correct. Yeah, one more guy. He just changed teams this offseason. He is on his 3rd NFL team.
Did he go from AFC to NFC, or did he stay in the same?
He went
conference?
from AFC to NFC to NFC. So this year he went from NFC to NFC.
Let's think. All right, so let's think. All right. Hey, Rob.
Correct. Allen
Yes.
Robinson. He had 1,400 yards and 14 touchdowns in
insane.
2015
He
with Blake
was
Bortles.
The crazy part is that wasn't even the year they made the playoffs.
They went like 5-11, 6-10,
Yeah.
something like that.
That's so stupid.
And
All right.
Allen Hurns also went over
Allen
1,000
Hurns,
yards.
like, dude,
Blake Bortles threw 35 touchdowns.
18 picks. I can't talk, Jameis.
But the fact that he even normally it's like 17 touchdowns, 18 picks.
yeah.
I mean, it was a lot of
You
garbage
could
time,
say
but
something
still.
about Jameis saying, like, oh, he threw 33 and 30. The guy couldn't see. Couldn't see a stop sign. All right, let's shut up. Jameis is my favorite quarterback in the league. Yes, that doesn't make sense. Do I care what you think? No, I do not. Who's your favorite quarterback in the league?
I don't know. I don't really... I'm an objective analyst co-host guy. But I'll say Ryan Tannehill just to mess with you.
Who do you think's better, Tannehill or Winston?
Tannehill.
I wouldn't be mad at you.
I
for
think
answering.
Winston could be better this year, but as of where they are at this point of their careers,
currently.
Tannehill.
You know what? I can agree with that. What about like actual like skill wise though? Like not just like based on like how they.
I think it's a toss-up because Tannehill's a lot more athletic than people give him credit for.
Because he used to be a
and
wide
he's-
receiver.
Yeah, he has a great deep ball too. I think Winston has more just general athletic ability, but
Winston is Brett Favre. Winston is a poor man's Brett Favre, but like not like Winston is a middle class man's Brett Favre.
that's what I was going for. That's a perfect analogy.
I wouldn't say poor man's because like he did have a season where he led the league in touchdowns and yards, but he also led the league in picks.
Yeah, he's
I
a
think-
character. There's
I
nobody
cannot
like
wait.
him.
I cannot wait to see him with obviously the eyes, but like that's been a thing for a couple of years now. But with an actually good receiving core where he won't throw like 1,400 yards in like 7 games, or actually like maybe get really good throw passing yards. Obviously volume stats isn't the best, but like you know what I'm saying. Like I don't have the analytics in front of me. I don't know if he was like a good PFF grade, whatever. His eyes.
He was one of the lead leaguers.
Yeah.
I said league leaguers in EPA per play last year when he was healthy, and he was even solid.
Yeah.
I think I've mentioned this on the podcast before when he had those 30 picks, which EPA dings you for interceptions, and he was still like 12th, 13th,
I do remember this
14th,
conversation.
even with the picks. So he's
right,
efficient
outside
of those plays.
Talked about James enough. We are an hour and 27 into this. I think it's time to end this. That was very abrupt, but this is going to take like 3 hours to render out of my editing software, so yeah.
We need to start like a GoFundMe to get Joe a better computer. So
No, it's just... No, my computer's fine. I love this thing. It's an hour and a half clip. It'll take like 2 hours.
This is
but
one of
still.
our longest podcasts in a minute.
I think it's our longest, yeah. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to the JM Touchdown Show. Once again, I'm Joe of Fanatics Sports. Joining me today, as we end this episode, is Mike Kennedy of Mike KennedyNFL. If you guys want to follow us on socials, if you are on YouTube, the link tree will be in the description. If you're on audio, our Twitter is @JMTD Show.
@JM Touchdown Show. I just had to
Touchdown
look
Show. That's
it
our
up.
Instagram. We only post our thumbnails on our Instagram because neither of us
You
are
need to
creative
start
with Instagram
like doing
posts.
some stories or something, clips. I don't know. We need to hire like a social media manager.
Yeah, we do.
But we're broken. We have like 17 followers, so.
Look, I'm a college student. I don't got that much money. Mike's a recently graduated college student. We can't hire people, We can't. I mean, I can pay my thumbnail guy for my personal YouTube $3 a thumbnail, so like I'm fine with that. But, I'm also thinking about rebranding, so.
Oh? No more Fanatics Sports with 2 S's?
I could get sued
Because of...
if I become monetized Fanatics jerseys.
Right.
They could
Fanatics.
sue me.
What? I don't know if you've ever told the listeners what made you choose that name for your channel.
Did I tell you?
If you did, I can't remember it right now.
No. So in high school, I did a class TV production, and one of the things was like you have to make like I don't know. There was like for like 2 months we like did like the same thing but like continuously doing it, like episodes or something. And I chose a podcast about fantasy with 3 of my 3 kids. One of them I wasn't really friends with. 2 of them I was. It was called. It's uploaded on SoundCloud. I uploaded it on SoundCloud.
Gosh.
Let me look.
Oh no.
Fantasy Fanatics, it was called. This was our logo. It's very similar to mine. I never realized that, though. That was just like an automated thing that I just kind of like put the text on. So, called Fantasy Fanatics. That was in my senior year of high school, I believe. And I started it right as I graduated high school, my actual YouTube. So, like, it was already fresh in the mind. And I was like, you know what? Fanatics Sports. Because I was trying to think. I was going to do, like, Joe Shea Sports or, like, what I'm thinking about
like
rebranding to
KennedyNFL.
is just, yeah. Like, I was thinking about, like, doing, like, JS Sports, like my initials or something like that, just because I'm not going to yet, but say I get monetized, or when I do.
What's your count at? Your subscriber count?
442. Yeah.
Have you hit the
I was having a
view
personal
threshold?
competition with you on the video, on our latest videos with AJ Brown and Tua, because yours was slowly getting views, mine got views fast.
Right.
But mine slowed down, yours is continuing to...
I just realized I hit like 1,000 views the other day.
Yeah, mine's at 985, and for the past 3 days, it's gained like 13 views, and before that, it was like a lot a day. But now it's slowing down. I'm like, just hit the 1,000, just please, just make me happy. Don't tease me. But what were you gonna say?
I like having those like personal competitions that nobody knows about.
Yeah, like I didn't tell you about it, but like I was like looking at your AJ Brown video. Mine had more views at a point when we were both in the 900s, and then mine just slowed. Like, what is it at now? 987. It's got good watch time though. 3 minutes 41 seconds on a 8-minute 58-minute video. 8-minute 58 seconds.
Yeah, I just know I have at least 1,000. That's all it tells me. But time watched 557 of a 15-minute video. Not bad.
That's fair. Yeah.
Like how we're just telling the podcast all about our YouTube analytics.
Hey, if people make it this far past when we already shout out our social media, it's good for them.
If anybody has reached this point, I want you to tweet at JM Touchdowns Show and at either one of us and tell us one of the metrics we just threw out for our YouTube videos.
And which one had a better video, my Tua video or his AJ Brown video?
And that's how I know you're a true fan, if you tweet at us.
Yeah. Yeah, we're looking for you, Tom.
He's probably the only one who listens all the way through.
I
know
mean,
a
dude,
couple
honestly,
other friends follow me,
I
but
do not
like,
listen. I do not listen to podcasts all the way through.
I'm a completionist, so even
I
if it's a
tune into Pat
podcast I
McAfee
don't
for a
like,
little
but
bit.
I subscribed.
Yeah. All right. Whatever. That's fair. All right. Well, it's a minute. It's an hour and a half. Everyone have a wonderful night. I already shouted our stuff out. You know it. Don't follow us on the TikTok. It's in our link tree. I am not touching that because going through an hour and a half podcast just to find TikTok clips.
Do you have like a little brother or little cousin you could get to do it? Because
I have a roommate that wants to do some social media stuff, but then we'd have to pay him.
he's your friend. You could handle that.
Yeah. Anyways, all right, everyone have a good night.
See ya.